1513, a disgraced Italian diplomat sat in exile, writing a book that would change the world forever. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli, and while everyone knows his book The Prince as a guide to political power, few realize it's also the most dangerous seduction manual ever written, because the same principles that conquer kingdoms will conquer hearts. The same strategies that command armies but will command attraction. The same psychology that builds empires will also build irresistible magnetism. Today, we're not talking about pickup lines or dating tips. We're talking about ancient, proven, ruthless strategies for winning a woman's heart and mind. Strategies so effective they've been used by kings, conquerors, and the most seductive men in history. Strategies most men will never discover, but the 1% of men, they know. Welcome to Noir Wisdom. What you're about to learn isn't modern psychology. It's not dating coach advice. It's not some trend from social media. This is 500 years of tested strategy. The dark psychology of power, influence, and seduction distilled into timeless principles. Machiavelli understood something most men never grasp. Attraction isn't about being nice. It's not about being honest. It's not even about being yourself. It's about understanding power dynamics, reading human nature, and strategically positioning yourself as the prize. Now, before we begin, let's be clear about something. This isn't about manipulation for manipulation's sake. This isn't about hurting women or playing cruel games. This is about understanding the game that's already being played. Because here's the truth, women are already using psychology on you. They're already testing, evaluating, and strategizing. And if you don't understand the game, you're playing defense your entire life. So in this video, we're going on the offensive. We're learning the Machiavellian 12 principles of seduction. The dark psychology that makes a man unforgettable, irresistible, and impossible to ignore. These aren't theories. These are strategies that have worked for centuries, and they'll work for you too. If you're brave enough to watch this video to the end, and also use these principles. Principle 1. It is better to be feared than loved. Machiavelli's most famous quote, and the most misunderstood. He didn't mean you should be cruel or abusive. He meant something far more sophisticated. It's better to be respected than to be adored. Most men approach attraction by trying to make women love them. They're agreeable, accommodating, always available. They seek approval, and they wonder why attraction dies. Here's the psychology. Human beings are wired to value what challenges them and take for granted what comes easily. When you're always available, always agreeable, always seeking her approval, you become predictable, safe, and boring. But when you maintain an edge of unpredictability, when you set boundaries, when you're willing to walk away, you become valuable. Studies in relationship psychology show that women experience the strongest attraction to men they perceive as having high mate value and low neediness. And what signals low neediness better than the willingness to be alone? This is why the Machiavellian approach isn't about making her comfortable. It's about making her uncertain, not about whether you like her, but about whether she can keep you. When a woman fears losing you more than she fears not having you, that's when her pursuit begins. Think about it. The moment a woman becomes too certain of your feelings, too confident she has you locked down, what happens? The chase ends. The mystery dies. The attraction fades. But when there's always a possibility you might walk away, when she's never quite sure she's won you completely, she stays engaged. This isn't cruelty. It's a strategy. Machiavelli wrote, "Men love at their own free will, but fear at the will of the prince." What does this mean? People choose who they love, but they can't help who they fear losing. Make her fear losing you, and she'll never take you for granted. Principle 2. Appear strong when you are weak. Machiavelli understood the power of perception. Reality matters less than how reality is perceived. In seduction, this translates to a critical principle. Never reveal your full hand. Never expose your complete need for her. Most men make a fatal mistake. They think honesty means expressing every feeling, every insecurity, every moment of need. I miss you so much. I can't stop thinking about you. You make me so happy. These statements feel vulnerable, romantic, honest, but psychologically, they're displays of weakness. They communicate, my emotional state depends on you. And the moment a woman knows your emotional state depends on her, she loses respect. Not consciously, not deliberately, but instinctively. Research in evolutionary psychology shows that women are attracted to men who display emotional independence. Men who have their own center, their own purpose, their own source of happiness. So here's the Machiavellian strategy. Even when you're deeply attracted, even when you're falling for her, even when she occupies your thoughts constantly, you maintain the appearance of independence. You don't text first every time. You don't cancel your plans immediately when she's available. You don't structure your entire life around her schedule. This isn't game playing, it's self-preservation. Because the moment you make a woman your entire world, she starts looking for a man who has his own world. Machiavelli advised, never show your hand until you're ready to play it. In Seduction, this means, never reveal the depth of your investment until she's matched it. Let her wonder. Let her question. Let her work for confirmation that you're as invested as she is. And in that space of uncertainty, attraction grows exponentially. Principle 3. The ends justify the means controversial? Absolutely. True? Undeniably. Machiavelli argued that the outcome matters more than the methods used to achieve it. In Seduction, this doesn't mean being unethical. It means being strategic about your approach, even if it contradicts conventional dating advice. Here's what this looks like practically. Conventional advice says, be yourself. But Machiavellian reality says, be the best version of yourself. The version that's strategic, polished, and deliberately attractive. Conventional advice says, tell her how you feel. But Machiavellian reality says, show her through action, not through neediness disguised as honesty. Conventional advice says, communication is everything. But Machiavellian reality says, sometimes silence is more powerful than any words. The end goal in seduction is mutual attraction, respect, and a dynamic where both people value each other. If achieving that requires being less available than you naturally want to be, that's justified. If it requires maintaining mystery when you're tempted to overshare, that's justified. If it requires appearing less interested than you actually are, that's justified. Because the alternative, being too available, too transparent, too eager, leads to the death of attraction. And a dead attraction helps nobody. Machiavelli understood that good intentions with poor execution lead to failure. And failure helps no one. So be strategic, be calculated, be willing to do what works, not what feels natural in the moment. Your natural instinct is to chase what you desire, but the Machiavellian approach is to position yourself so that what you desire chases you. Principle 4. Keep your intentions obscure. Machiavelli wrote extensively about the importance of keeping your true intentions hidden until the optimal moment to reveal them. In Seduction, this is the art of ambiguity. Most men make their intentions crystal clear from the beginning. I really like you. I want to take you on a date. I'm interested in a relationship. These statements feel honest and direct, and they kill attraction. Why? Because they remove all mystery, all challenge, all the need for her to invest effort in figuring you out. Psychologically, humans are attracted to puzzles. We're driven to solve mysteries. We become invested in things we have to work to understand. When you make your intentions obvious, you rob her of the opportunity to become invested through curiosity. But when you keep her guessing, when she's not quite sure if you're interested romantically or just being friendly, when she can't tell if she's special to you or just one of many options, her brain becomes obsessed with figuring it out. Studies in cognitive psychology show that uncertainty increases emotional engagement. The brain keeps returning to unresolved questions. Does he like me? Am I special to him? What does he want? These questions occupy her mind, and the longer they remain unanswered, the more mental real estate you occupy. This is why the most seductive men rarely make grand declarations of interest. They imply, they suggest, they create plausible deniability. You're interesting instead of, I'm falling for you. And we should do this again instead of, I want to see you every day. That's an attractive quality instead of, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever met. The message is still communicated, but it's communicated with room for interpretation, with ambiguity, with mystery. And in that ambiguity, her imagination fills in the gaps. Often, what she imagines is far more compelling than anything you could explicitly state. Machiavelli knew, the wise man does in the beginning what the fool does in the end. The fool confesses his feelings too early and loses the game. The wise man maintains mystery until she's already emotionally invested. Principle 5. Divide and conquer. In warfare and politics, Machiavelli advocated for dividing your enemies to weaken them. In seduction, this principle translates differently. Create subtle competition to increase your value. Now, this isn't about playing women against each other cruelly or being disrespectful. It's about understanding a psychological truth. People want what others want. This is called social proof, and it's one of the most powerful psychological triggers in human attraction. When a woman sees that other women find you attractive, interesting, or valuable, her attraction multiplies. When a woman sees you have options, you become more valuable. When a woman realizes she's not the only one vying for your attention, she pursues harder. This is evolutionary psychology at work. Women are subconsciously attracted to men who are pre-selected by other women. It's a shortcut that signals this man has qualities worth having. So, how do you apply this ethically? Have a life where women naturally exist. Female friends, colleagues, social circle. You're not creating fake competition. You're simply not hiding the fact that women are part of your world. Don't hide your social value. If other women compliment you, if you're invited to events, if you have a robust social life, don't downplay it to seem safe. Be comfortable with female attention. When other women show interest, don't immediately shut it down to prove your loyalty. Handle it with grace, confidence, and without apology. Never make her feel like she's your only option, even if she is. The moment a woman feels like your only option is her or loneliness, her perception of your value plummets. Machiavelli understood that the perception of scarcity creates value. You don't have to be with other women, you just have to appear as though you could be. And that subtle implication, that you're a man with options who's choosing to spend time with her, makes you infinitely more attractive than a man who has no options and is desperately grateful for her attention. Principle 6. Strike when the iron is hot. Machiavelli emphasized the importance of timing in all endeavors. In seduction, timing is everything. Most men make one of two mistakes. 1. They move too fast. They push for physical intimacy or commitment before attraction is sufficiently built. They mistake interest for investment. 2. They move too slow. They wait for the perfect moment that never comes. They let attraction die in the friend zone while they build courage. The Machiavellian approach is about reading the moment and acting decisively when the window opens. How do you know when the iron is hot? Her investment level rises. She's initiating contact. She's making herself available. She's asking personal questions. She's finding reasons to touch you. Resistance decreases. She's no longer testing you constantly. She's more receptive to your suggestions. She's comfortable with escalation. She creates opportunities for privacy. She suggests one-on-one hangouts. She invites you to her place or accepts invitations to yours. She's engineering scenarios for intimacy. These are signals, and when these signals appear, you must act, not with hesitation, not with asking permission for every microstep, but with a confident assumption that the attraction is mutual and the moment is right. Would you like to come inside? Becomes, come inside, I'll make us a drink. Can I kiss you? Becomes reading her body language and leading the moment. Do you want to see each other again? Becomes, I'll pick you up on Friday at 8. Machiavelli wrote, whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. In seduction, this means, when she's giving you green lights, you escalate. When she's giving resistance, you pull back and build more attraction. You don't follow a rigid script. You read the situation and adapt. But when the moment is right, when she's clearly receptive, you move with confidence and clarity. Because windows of attraction close, and they rarely reopen. The man who hesitates, who overthinks, who waits for absolute certainty, loses. The man who reads the moment and acts decisively, wins. Principle 7. Cultivate necessary cruelty. This is perhaps Machiavelli's darkest principle. He argued that leaders must sometimes be cruel to be kind in the long run. In seduction, this translates to a difficult truth. Sometimes you must be willing to cause short-term discomfort to build long-term attraction. What does this mean practically? It means saying no, even when saying yes would make her happy in the moment. If saying yes makes you less valuable, less mysterious, less challenging, you say no. It means creating space, even when she wants more attention, more time, more reassurance. If the relationship is moving too fast or she's taking you for granted, you create distance. It means being willing to walk away, even if you don't want to. If the dynamic is unhealthy, if she's disrespectful, if your boundaries are being violated, you walk. These actions feel cruel in the moment. They create temporary unhappiness. They risk losing her. But psychologically, they serve a crucial purpose. They reset the power dynamic. Research shows that people value most what they fear losing, and they take for granted what's always available. So the necessary cruelty isn't about being mean. It's about being unavailable enough to be valuable. It's about loving yourself enough to demand respect, even if it costs you the relationship. And paradoxically, this willingness to lose her is often what makes her unwilling to lose you. Think about the men who keep women chasing for years, who have women obsessed with them, who maintains attraction even when the relationship is clearly not working. What do they have in common? They're willing to be cruel. They disappear when they feel disrespected. They don't tolerate bad behavior just to keep the peace. They prioritize their own needs and boundaries, and women respect them for it. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be impetuous than cautious." In seduction, this means it's better to risk losing her by maintaining your standards than to keep her by abandoning them. because a woman you keep by being weak isn't truly yours anyway. Principle 8. Control the narrative. Machiavelli understood that perception is reality, and whoever controls the narrative controls the relationship. In modern seduction, this means being strategic about how you present yourself, your life, and your intentions. Most men let women write the story of who they are. They react to her interpretations rather than proactively shaping perception. The Machiavellian approach is different. 1. You frame yourself. You don't wait for her to decide if you're successful, interesting, or valuable. You communicate these things through your lifestyle, your stories, and your confidence. 2. You control the pacing. You don't let her decide when you meet, how often you communicate, or how fast things progress. You lead. She follows or she doesn't. 3. You define the relationship. You don't wait for her to decide what you are to each other. You make clear through your actions what you're offering and what you expect. This isn't manipulation, it's leadership. Women are attracted to men who lead, who have vision, who aren't passively waiting to see what happens. Psychologically, people feel most comfortable when someone they respect is steering the ship. So, in conversation, you lead topics to areas where you're knowledgeable and passionate. In planning, you suggest venues and activities rather than asking, "What do you want to do?" In escalation, you move things forward physically and emotionally, rather than waiting for her to give explicit permission at every step. You're writing the story, and she's choosing whether to be in it. This is radically different from the typical male approach of trying to fit into her story. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand," meaning people judge by what they see, not by what actually is. So control what she sees. Present yourself strategically. Manage the narrative. And watch as her attraction builds around the story you're telling. Principle 9. Reward and punish strategically. Machiavelli understood behavioral psychology centuries before it was formally studied. He knew that people respond to incentives, and that strategic use of reward and punishment shapes behavior. In seduction, this translates to a principle called intermittent reinforcement. This is the most powerful tool in the attraction arsenal. Here's how it works. When you reward behavior consistently, people take the reward for granted. When you reward behavior randomly and unpredictably, people become obsessed with earning the reward. This is why gambling is addictive. It's not the winning itself, it's the unpredictable nature of when winning happens. Applied to seduction, when she invests effort, sometimes you reward it with attention and affection. Sometimes you're busy or distracted. When she reaches out, sometimes you respond immediately. Sometimes you take hours or days. When she pursues, sometimes you reciprocate. Sometimes you pull back. This creates a psychological pattern where she's never sure which version of you she'll get, and that uncertainty becomes addictive. Now, this isn't about being a jerk. It's about being genuinely busy and having a life where she's not your only focus, but it's also about being strategic. If she's taking you for granted, you withdraw attention. If she's investing and pursuing, you reward that with your time and affection. Studies in behavioral psychology confirm intermittent reinforcement creates stronger behavioral patterns than consistent reinforcement. A woman who always knows she'll get your attention stops working for it. A woman who sometimes gets it and sometimes doesn't will work increasingly hard to secure it. Machiavelli advised princes to be generous sparingly so that each gift has maximum impact. The same applies to your attention, affection, and time. Make them scarce enough to be valuable, and distribute them strategically to shape her behavior. Principle 10. Appear virtuous while being strategic. This is perhaps Machiavelli's most sophisticated principle. He argued that a leader must appear to have all virtues, honesty, kindness, faithfulness, while being flexible enough to abandon these virtues when strategy demands it. In seduction, this means present yourself as a good man with strong values, while being strategic enough to use dark psychology when necessary. You're not a nice guy who sacrifices his needs for hers, but you're also not openly Machiavellian in a way that reveals your strategy. You appear generous while being selective about where you invest. You appear honest while keeping your true intentions obscure until the right moment. You appear kind while being willing to exercise necessary cruelty when boundaries are crossed. This duality is what makes a man truly seductive. He has the virtue that makes a woman want to keep him, but he has the strategy that makes her want to earn him. Most men fall into one of two traps: the nice guy who is genuinely kind but strategically inept. Women like him but aren't attracted to him. He gets friend-zoned because he lacks the edge. The bad boy who is strategically sharp but morally questionable. Women are attracted but don't trust him. He gets short-term success but no lasting respect. The Machiavellian seducer combines both. He's a good man worth having, but he's strategic enough to maintain attraction. He treats women well, but he doesn't tolerate disrespect. He's generous with his time, but not desperate with his availability. This is the ultimate psychological position. Virtuous enough to be relationship material, strategic enough to be eternally attractive. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." So, appear to be the good guy, the honest man, the reliable partner. But behind that appearance, be strategic, be calculating, be willing to use dark psychology to maintain the dynamic. Because in the long run, this serves both of you. She gets a man who's both good and strong. You get a woman who respects you while loving you. Principle 11. Never completely reveal yourself. Machiavelli knew that mystery is power. The moment you become completely known, you become completely understood. And what's completely understood can be predicted and controlled. In seduction, this means always maintain a layer of mystery. Most men, once they're in a relationship, become completely transparent. They share every thought, every feeling, every aspect of their day. They think this is intimacy, but psychologically, it's the death of attraction. Here's why. The human brain is wired to solve puzzles. We're attracted to what we don't fully understand, and we lose interest in what we've completely figured out. When you maintain mystery, when there are parts of you she hasn't fully accessed, thoughts she doesn't fully know, depths she hasn't fully explored, she remains curious. This doesn't mean lying or being secretive about important things. It means, 1, having a rich internal life she's not fully privy to, thoughts, interests, and pursuits that are yours alone. 2, not explaining everything, sometimes being silent, sometimes being vague, letting her wonder. 3, maintaining boundaries around your time and space, not being completely available, having parts of your life that are just yours. 4, surprising her occasionally, revealing new skills, new knowledge, and new facets of your personality she hadn't seen before. Research in long-term relationship satisfaction shows that couples who maintain individual identities and some mystery report higher attraction levels than couples who become completely enmeshed. Machiavelli understood, the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten. Wolves, be the fox. Mysterious, clever, impossible to fully pin down, and be the lion. Strong, confident, capable of dominance when necessary. This combination, strength with mystery, is irresistible. Principle 12, always have an exit strategy. Machiavelli's final lesson, never commit so fully that you can't withdraw. In seduction, this means never become so invested that losing her would destroy you. This isn't about being cold or uncommitted. It's about maintaining your center. Most men, once they fall for a woman, make her their entire world. Their happiness depends on her. Their self-worth depends on her validation. Their entire life revolves around her. And the moment this happens, attraction dies. Because women are not attracted to men who need them. They're attracted to men who choose them. There's a world of difference between I need you in my life, dependence, and I want you in my life, choice. Dependence is suffocating. Choice is attractive. So the Machiavellian approach is to always maintain your exit strategy. Keep your own friends, hobbies, and interests. Don't abandon your life for the relationship. Maintain your financial independence. Never become economically dependent on a romantic relationship. Guard your emotional independence. Love her deeply, but don't make her responsible for your happiness. Stay physically attractive and socially valuable. Don't let yourself go just because you're in a relationship. This might seem unromantic, but it's actually the foundation of healthy attraction. Because when you maintain your exit strategy, when you could genuinely be happy alone, you're no longer operating from fear. You're not tolerating disrespect because you're afraid of being alone. You're not accepting breadcrumbs because you think this is your only option. You're not staying in a dying relationship because you don't think you can find better. You're free, and that freedom is attractive. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson was about power through preparation. In relationships, your power comes from knowing you'll be okay if it ends. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes it less likely to end. Here's the final truth about Machiavellian seduction. The strategies work precisely because you're willing to lose her. Every principle we've discussed, maintaining mystery, being willing to walk away, staying strategically unavailable, keeping your intentions obscure, only works if you genuinely mean it. If you're faking unavailability while desperately hoping she pursues, she'll sense it. If you're pretending to have options while feeling like she's your only chance, she'll know. If you're playing hard to get while being terrified, she'll actually leave. The strategy fails. The dark psychology of Machiavellian seduction isn't about tricks. It's about becoming the type of man these strategies naturally describe. A man with options who chooses one woman but doesn't need her. A man with purpose who invites a woman into his life but doesn't revolve around her. A man with standards who walks away from disrespect because his self-respect is non-negotiable. That's the paradox. You can't fake these strategies. You must embody them. And when you do, seduction becomes effortless because you're no longer trying to win her. You're simply being a man worth winning. Machiavelli wrote The Prince to teach leaders how to gain and maintain power. But the deepest lesson of that book is this: real power comes from being willing to stand alone. In seduction, the same truth applies. The moment you're willing to walk away, to be alone, to lose her rather than lose yourself, that's the moment you become truly irresistible. Not because of tactics, but because of the truth. You've become a man who doesn't need her, and that makes her need you. Stay sharp. This is Noir Wisdom.